What's up, y'all? What's up, Culture Vultures? It's your boy Zach here. Long time no see. I know I've been away, but I'm here for another episode of The Breakdown, and today's movie is Little Miss Sunshine. It stars Paul Dano, Abigail Breslin, Toni Collette, Alan Arkin, Steve Carell, and Greg Kinnear. This was a great family movie, very, very real, very raw. It's about this little girl named Olive who wants to go and compete in this beauty pageant, and her family drives her across, California to get there. And she's just got a very dysfunctional, kind of messed up, very, eccentric family. Her father, he's a struggling life coach and motivational speaker. The mother, she's just stressed out because her brother, played by Steve Carell, recently committed suicide. And then you got the granddad. He got kicked out of the nursing home because he was snorting heroin. And then you got, like I said, Steve Carell committed suicide. And then, you've got the teenage son, played by Paul Dano. Paul Dano, he was in an episode of The Sopranos. He was in There Will Be Blood, playing the two twin brothers. He was in the Batman movie with what's his name? What's dude's name? The guy from the Twilight movies. He was, with him. I can't remember his name. It'll come back to me. But he played the Riddler in the latest Batman movies. You know what I'm saying? And he was just really great in that movie. He doesn't talk. He's playing like he's gonna be like quiet in the movie. He's trying to be disciplined, and he's just adopted the qualities of like the philosopher Nietzsche. So he's like just takes a vow of silence. He doesn't want to talk. He doesn't want to say anything. Nothing like that. He's trying to be call himself being disciplined, but he's kind of just taking on this very this very kind of negative outlook of the world, like nothing matters, very kind of apathetic look at life, and just nothing really excites him. He's going through that phase as like a teenager. I think he's like 15, 16 in the movie, if I'm not mistaken. But great family movie, very real, very raw. They have a conversation with the little girl, telling her why the uncle, he tried to kill himself because he's gay, and the guy he liked fell in love with another guy and all that other shit. And then how life just didn't turn out good for him. He lost his job. He was just fucked up. And then going through a lot of just really bad mental health issues. Steve Carell, he plays a perfect loser. I hate to say that about, I'm not saying people that commit suicide are losers in any way, but he's just always plays that guy that he's played like a 40-year-old virgin, where he's a 40-year-old virgin in that movie, or where in that movie Crazy Stupid Love, where his wife leaves him because he's just become like this boring guy, and his 40s, that's just not exciting his wife anymore. His wife ends up leaving him, and then he meets Ryan Gosling, and obviously he turns him around, turns him into a cool dude that ends up sleeping with a bunch of women and gets that spark back going for him. And then in this movie he plays like a guy that's gay and recently attempted suicide, and he's trying to get back on his feet. His sister the mother, she brings him home, I think played by Toni Collette. She brings him home from the hospital, the mental hospital that he was in, and says someone always has to be with him and everything like that to make sure he doesn't attempt suicide again. The granddad, played by Alan Arkin, he was really, really funny. Father's a life coach, so he's always saying, if you don't win, you're a loser, and this and that. So the little girl, they're in the hotel room, and the little girl, Olive, played by Abigail Breslin, she's sitting there, and she's really she's crying, and she's saying, hey, if I don't win, will Daddy not love me? Will he not like me anymore? She says, the real losers are those who are afraid of winning and they don't even try. Those are the real losers. And he's absolutely 100% right. You can be scared to do things in your life. Everybody's going to be fearful and nervous and anxious and, have that anxiety and kind of, worry and, hesitation to do certain things and take risk and reach out. But ultimately, if you don't do them, your life will, you never amount to nothing. You gotta, ultimately let your knucks hang, put your big girl panties on, go for broke. You know what I'm saying? Take chances, especially when you're young, or even, even if you still got years left. You don't even have to be young, but you should do it, especially if you are young. For all the young people watching this, but all the people that's in their, hell, in their 40s, 50s, if there's something that you've always wanted to do, and just go for it. Especially if you don't have much responsibilities. I understand it's harder for people that have kids and families and careers that are tying them down, and they have responsibilities that they feel obligated to or are obligated to. But, sometimes you just got to say fuck it and go for it. You know what I'm saying? Hope y'all like my shirt too. Do the right thing. I love this shirt. It's one of my favorite shirts. I've had it for years now. But anyway, yeah, like I said, a great performance from a young Paul Dano. He was just really, really good in this movie. He doesn't talk for mostly the whole movie. Then towards the end, his sister, because when the granddad died, he does, spoiler alert, he dies in the movie. He sniffs heroin, and I guess he basically just goes to sleep, never wakes up. And then they take him to the hospital, and the hospital lady, she's a real bitch. She's saying, they got to fill out all this different paperwork and this, that, and the third. And they're like, and the pops is like, yo, we didn't come out this way to miss the beauty pageant. And she says, you got to stay here. So they sneak the body out the window, put him in the back of the car, and they drive off. And then while they were at the hospital, the little girl, Olive, she had got like these eye tests, and she was playing with her brother, doing eye tests for him and everything. And then he realizes he's colorblind, because all he wants to do is be like a pilot, like a fighter pilot and stuff like that. And then like his uncle tells him, like, you can't do that if you're colorblind. And then like he gets so upset. He's acts so well. He's still silent, but he's hitting the wall in the car and doing all like this and just hitting the ceiling. And then finally they're like, pull over, pull over. The pops pulls over. He gets out and he's just like, fuck! And he starts crying and everything. I mean, he plays it great. I mean, he started acting he acts his ass off in that scene. Shout out to Paul Dano. I think he's a really, really good, kind of underrated actor. And I gotta say, y'all, beauty pageants are very inappropriate for little girls. I mean, those little girls are up there wearing like bikinis and shorts and stuff like that, and just very kind of like grown woman attire and clothing and shit like that, and they're kind of being provocative, dancing on stage. And I wasn't feeling it. If I had a daughter, she would not be doing that shit. I would not allow it. I would put my foot down. H to the E to the L to the L to the N to the O. No. Hell no. You know what I'm saying? I would not want her doing that or participating in it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I wouldn't really feel comfortable with my daughter doing it. Maybe it also depends on your act, because some girls, they were up there in just kind of like hats and tuxedos and just singing cute songs and everything. But the girls that, like showing their leg and, their chest and doing all this and that, I wasn't really feeling that for no little girls to be doing. That's just me. I don't really think that was cool. But the ending of them on stage. So the ending, they're on stage. Olive, she's giving her performance. She's basically dancing to, she's a very crazy kooky girl. The tiny super freak. Yeah, she's dancing to Super Freak by Rick James. And, the audience isn't feeling it. And the woman who runs the beauty pageant, she's a super fucking Karen. She's a real cunt. You know what I'm saying? And, she's like, get her off the stage. And then the family basically goes up there, basically stops the MC from pulling her off the stage. And they start dancing up there with her and everything. And then, the Karen, she calls the police and everything like that. And the cop says, hey, y'all are free to go. Just don't ever enter into another beauty pageant in the state of California again. And then Steve Carell, played by Frank, is like, yeah, I think we can live with that. And he lets him go. And, she said, we all think you did a very great job, Olive. And she was nervous, but, she's like, thank you. She thinks she's just happy that she went out there and did it, and her family supported her. And, it was a really dope movie. It was really, really good. It's on HBO Max right now. Highly recommend that y'all watch it. That's all I got for y'all today. As always, I love y'all. I fuck with y'all. Y'all fuck with your boy. I'm rocking with y'all. Y'all rocking with me. Got that from 1090 Jake. You know what I'm saying? That opening. But yeah, you know how it go. Alright, Culture Vultures. It's your boy Zach here. I'm going to be back with more videos soon. Probably try not to take as long off as I did before. But, you know, been writing, been, you know, working. Just, you know how it go. Life be life and doing me. But as always, until next time, peace, love, and soul.